Hello and welcome everyone. It looks like we are live. I hope that everybody is having an amazing day. I hope that everybody is having a great start to, their Friday, their weekend. I appreciate everybody taking the chance to join us. Really looking forward to talk about what we have to today. Just a quick introduction as we always do. My name is Will Zapata here at Apollo Energy. I've had the pleasure of helping families basically power their home for nearly a decade. But in this Beyond the Solar series, we go beyond what we do here to help other people empower their homes. We like to talk about finances, fatherhood, family, fitness, and overall how to be the best version of yourself. So for today, I'm actually going to be talking about a topic that I really love to talk about. It's something that's super close to my heart because it's something that I'm sure not just me, but a lot of us go through on a daily basis, right? And essentially is how do we basically create a work-life balance, right, without losing our families? Basically, what are some techniques, what are some practices that we utilize, basically going over some real life stories as to how I've been able to create a career for myself while being able to still stay a family man, still stay present with my children, and obviously still continue to grow, focus on my business, and focus on myself. So hopefully this is something that you'll be able to find value in. I'm hoping that you're able to take it, even if it's just one little nugget, and you're able to take it and then apply it to your life. So I'm definitely looking forward to be able to talk about this, as I'm sure it is something that all of us definitely want to be able to have more of, right? So this is definitely something that's super personal to me. I'll be sharing with you guys just some of the things that have helped me out when it comes to working on my career while being able to also work and help my family. In today's day and age, with things being super expensive, with us working more than we've ever worked, and then of course us having a ton of distractions, we can easily see how it feels like we never have time to do anything, and we're always, chasing to get the next thing done. Just as a quick plug, if you are not doing so already, please take the opportunity to follow us at the Apollo Energy Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where I also have previous videos. Last week's video, I believe, was about. Man, it's been a while, but I believe it was about being able to, parent in an age of screens, right? So definitely take a look at that. At the end of the day, it's all about you prioritizing what's important in your life and, doubling and tripling down on that, right? So with that being said, I hope that you find a lot of value in this, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing, basically, when it comes to creating balance, creating a work-life balance, how you can still build your career without losing your family. The first portion is let me tell you guys, and it's going to be a little bit controversial, is that there is no balance, right? I'm a big believer that you can't have everything when you want. I think you can have everything in life. It's just that you can't have everything that you want all the time, all together at the same time, right? You have to basically be able to decide what is it that's going to be important for you at that moment. Be aware that the actions or the mindset that you have today can directly affect what your future is going to look like, right? So, just a story about myself when it came to creating balance with my career and then my family, I didn't always have it, right? Essentially, I knew that one day I wanted to be a family man. I wanted to be a father. So what I did, and this is a true story, I basically went my first, after my mid 20s, right, like up until my early 30s. I would probably say from the year 25 to about 32, 33 when I had my first child. All I did was save my money. I worked extremely hard on my business. I worked extremely hard on myself. I had a lot of hours where I was just dedicating to growing my business and growing myself. The way that I looked at it was that the more I could basically accumulate when it came to money and resources, and the less I needed for myself would be able to create or give me more leverage that when, the creator decided to make me a parent, I would be able to spend as much time as I could with my children and with my family. And what I did was is that as my income was growing, right, and all of us, we're in different positions, we're at different times in our life. If you're in your early 20s, you might be still trying to figure out what you're going to do. You might be figuring out who you are. If you're in, older than me, maybe you have some establishment, but maybe you're still trying to figure it out, right? I think that development, becoming the best version of yourself, and obviously finding purpose is a lifelong journey, right? The things that you may like today, it might not be something that you like tomorrow. So you're always going to be working on being able to find purpose and find a reason and find what is suited for you, right? Like what was your divine creation for. So for me, I took real advantage of what the solar industry had to offer, especially in my late 20s, early 30s. I went all in. I was working 10, 12 hours a day, working on my business, and basically, as my income started to grow, right, I still kept my lifestyle as simple as possible. I always, tell everyone in my family that I was super lucky to be able to hoard money like it was going out of business, right? So what I did was I took the opportunity as to how I can save as much money as I possibly could, how I could possibly reinvest back into myself, how I could be able to create a blanket that when the creator decided to give me a family, I was going to be able to utilize that so that way I can go all in on the things that was most important to me. And that essentially is, again, my family, right? This isn't something that's going to happen right away. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Look, right? The work life balance, I like to call it work life synergy. I got this from Jeff Bezos, but work life balance is very hard for you to obtain, right? Simply because there are things that you're going to want to accomplish that you're going to have to sacrifice and give up. And then there are other things that are going to be priority to you that you're not going to want to sacrifice and give up, right? I'm giving you from my own example. So, again, I got into solar in my mid 20s, early 30s. I was out on my own. I decided to go all in, right? I didn't party. I didn't, take a lot of vacations. I didn't do, I think in the whole time I maybe took one vacation, right, until I was able to create some kind of establishment for myself. And I think that vacation that I took was because my grandmother ended up passing away. And the reason for that was because I had a set vision, I had a set goal that I wanted to accomplish. I know that for me, I love freedom. I love the opportunity to wake up and not have to be, obligated to go do something that I don't want to do. I knew that if I ever had the opportunity to have children, I wanted to be able to spend as much time as I possibly could with them. So I decided to hoard my money like it was no tomorrow. I decided to plan ahead. I said to myself, the way that it started, I said, listen, for the first 18 months that my children are born, I want to be able to have enough of a savings that if I want to stay home with them, I can. If I want to, go out with them, I can. But the last thing that I want is for money to be a burden. Now, obviously, this is not something that's going to apply to everybody, right? Because we all have children in different points of our lives, right? I'm very thankful for the age that I had children because I think it allowed me to, one, mature as a person. But secondly, it allowed me to acquire some resources. Now, if you're in a situation where, maybe you had your kids at a younger age, totally fine. Hopefully, you were able to get some help. But maybe you have to look at things differently, right? Maybe you kind of have to do it in reverse where you have to focus very heavily on what your career is. You have to focus on being able to increase your income. So then that way that allows you to, in the future, plan out, time with your family, plan out time with your children, right? Super important for you to remember to always have what is the end goal in mind. For me, my end goal is always freedom, and I always like to reassess and look at what are things that might take away from it. I believe strongly that children are a blessing. They may not be for everybody, but they're a blessing. But they're also, young like plants or young fruits that need to be watered, they need to be developed, and there's going to be a point in time where you're going to have to sacrifice and maybe give up the career opportunity for a little bit. Maybe you go out with maybe you go without giving yourself so many things so you can have money in the future for your children. Again, there is not one set way of doing it. I'm just sharing with you what I did, and I was very fortunate where as a man, I had children in my early 30s. It gave me an opportunity to be able to save money. I was in a great industry, right? I still in solar, but I was, starting off a new industry. Industry was booming. I decided to be smart with my money, and it really helped me be as present as I possibly could when it came to spending time with my children and spending time with my family. Even now, my plan is the way that I look at it is now I'm spending a lot of time with my children. I look at it as, I'm looking at this as the long term goal, right? I know, hopefully, knock on wood, I plan to live on this planet for many, 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 many more years. So, with that being said, I look at it as like right now is my time to focus on my children, the fact that they're young. There's going to be a point in time where they're going to be teenagers. They're probably not going to want to do much with me. And then there's going to be a point in time where they're going to go out and start their own lives and live their own lives. And that gives me an opportunity that while they were young, while I was helping them, while I was helping raise them, I was also working on myself. I was working on my business, and then I can always dedicate that time to making more money. Maybe I want to travel more. Maybe I want to reinvent myself, whatever the case might be, right? But the whole point is that I know that I'm going to have to sacrifice. I know that I'm going to have to create certain boundaries. I know that there's certain things I'm going to have to say no to in order for me to be able to accomplish those things so I can hit my long-term goals, right? Going on to the other point, right, that I think is that shifting your mindset about boundaries, right? Sometimes we look at when we give ourselves boundaries or what we call boundaries, we assume that we're limiting ourselves. But what I found is that actually giving yourself either standards or boundaries is actually a lot more liberating, right? Because what it is it creates almost like a filter for your life. It's so much easier, right? You save up so much more willpower, right? So much brain power if you were focused on exactly what it is that you wanted to get out of life, right? So, for example, for me, this is very simple. I don't really drink. I don't like to go out, right? So I say no to a lot of weekend gatherings. I say no to a lot of drinking. It's not for me, right? Not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm not here to judge. You know you best, right? But basically, I created a boundary or I created filters for certain things in my life that would get in the way of me being able to spend time with my children, me being able to spend time with my family, me being able to increase my income so that way I have more liberty, I have more freedom when it comes to spending my time with the people that I love, right? Boundaries is not about being selfish. Believe it or not, boundaries or creating boundaries or having standards is really the most or one of the best examples of you loving yourself, right? Or you having love for your family, because what you're saying is that you're going to prioritize your family, you're going to prioritize your children, and essentially that's going to be the thing that you focused most on, right? Talked about on the last live stream about screens, right? All those things, creating boundaries, being present, being able to go deeper into the people that you truly love, that you really care about. That's going to give you so much liberty. That's going to give you a lot more freedom, because what it does is, going on to the next point, is that it gives you a lot more clarity, right? It is so much easier for you to be able to go about your day when you have maybe one, maybe two, three at most things that you prioritize every single day. Anything more than that and it starts to get too much, right? Anything more than that and things start to get cloudy, and then it looks like we have a never-ending list of to-do lists, right? But being able to create certain boundaries, being able to prioritize what's important for you, right? It allows you to take a step back, right? You realize that maybe before you were doing a lot more hustling, you were doing a lot more activities that really didn't pan out. And if anybody is in business or has been in business, or just anybody in general, we know that a lot of the things that we think are important really are not that important and truly don't matter, right? And then it allows us to be able to shift our minds to what's really important, right? If I'm only prioritizing, let's say, family, maybe one task that really gets my business far, and then one more task that's for myself that makes me happy, that makes it so much easier for me for the rest of the day. I'm going to say no to things that don't matter. I'm going to push off things that are not pertinent right now. I'm going to eliminate things that don't serve me, and it's going to allow me to have a lot more clarity. It's going to allow me to have a lot more mental abilities. It's going to allow me to have much more physical capabilities to focus on the things that matter, to focus on the people that are truly important to me, right? Which, if you're here, If you're watching me, it might be because maybe fatherhood, maybe family, maybe fitness, maybe financial freedom, maybe those things are important to you, right? Your overall health and well being is important to you. And I don't think that there's ever a need to apologize for you creating boundaries or you creating a set of standards that basically allows you to live a much more happier and simpler life. I'm a big proponent of, simplicity. I think simplicity is something that is truly beautiful, right? And the best way to help create boundaries and still be able to have a career and grow your family or grow your career and focus on your family is by being able to prioritize the things that truly matter, right? I'm not gonna go out and spend time at a bar if I can spend that time with my child, right? I'm not gonna maybe go to an event that keeps me up all night when I know that I could rather be with my child, I could rather be with my family, and that's energy that I can focus and depend on them. So take an opportunity to look at yourself, right? See what's important for you, see what gives you the biggest ROI, right? Return on investment, I don't think it just deals with finances. I think having a return on investment on what makes you happy is very important. Looking at the activities, the people, the food, the whatever it is that you take into your mind, whether it's social media or a show that you like to watch, do things that make you happy overall, right? Understand that when it comes to balance, right? Again, I don't think balance means that everything is perfect and everything is the same and I don't think life works that way, right? Balance is about, for example, if I'm here with family and maybe I'm here with income and maybe this is what I'm focusing on, my family, you're okay, you had a conversation with yourself and your significant other, we're going to prioritize our family. And then maybe as the family becomes more independent, more routine, maybe now that shifts a little bit and now you're focusing more on your career, you're focusing more on your business, right? Doesn't mean that you have to take away from your family. It just maybe it means your family has different needs right now, right? Maybe your kids are grown up or they're teenagers and maybe they don't need to have you so hands on. Maybe they don't need to depend on you so much, whatever the case might be, right? So it's all those things that that are super important, or in you discovering yourself, you understanding how you are is going to work for you. Like I said, what I do is not going to work for everybody. It's what works for me, but I'm here to be able to have a genuine conversation and be able to connect with people that are going to be able to take just take it like a grain of salt and apply it to them in the best way that they think, right? Basically, the next point is going to be creating very simple, systems. That has changed everything for me, right? And me, I'm a big systems person. I love to take away the thinking out of thinking, right? If I could automate everything in my life, I totally would. And one of the things that I do now when it comes to being able to prioritize my family is that I respect and I have standardized times that are blocked, right? Usually, if I'm not working late, and it doesn't happen every day, some days I need to, but usually, 8 o'clock is when I remove all technology, right? Basically, whenever I'm after 8 o'clock, that is my family time. That's when I'm going to help put my children to sleep. That's when I'm going to focus on my partner, right? But those times I respect, right? Those are the times where I'm like, nope, doesn't matter what happens, is not important, and I adhere to that, right? Because now I know in my brain I'm like, okay, I can work super super hard up until 6, up until 8, depending on what works for you, and then the rest of the time I'm going to spend it with my family. Remember, right, team, that it's not like your family need all your time. They just need your time to be all in when you're with them, right? So that might have been a mouthful, but basically, if you have an hour with your family and you're giving them your entire hour, that's way better than you giving them, 10% of your attention because you're on your phone, you're responding to emails, you're picking up client calls. It's just not worth it in the long run. I learned that the hard way, right? I made a lot of mistakes. I'm still learning, right? But I'm very like, hey, when I say it's my shutdown time. That's my shutdown time. If you need to call me, leave me a message. If I don't answer to you, just understand that I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. But just understand that my time with my family is super protected, right? Basically, the other thing that I like to do is I like to make sure that I'm ready for the day ahead, the day before, right? So I usually at the end of the day, I will take that moment to reflect, see what I did good, see what I did bad, and what areas I'm looking to improve. And then basically, I clock out on the rest of the day. I know that there's nothing that I can do about it. And then I give myself the grace and the opportunity to focus on the next day. Because the way that I look at it, right, team, is that if you have another day to be alive, another day of health, you have another day to take a crack at life, right? And I understand life is not easy. Life can already be super complicated, but systems can help us navigate and make that less complicated. Sundays are everything for me. Sundays are my day where I am able to have some clarity. Sundays are my day where I'm able to just focus on myself. Sundays are my day where I'm just able to focus on my family. Sundays, for people that are religious, it's like the holy day. For me, super holy as well, in the sense of I like to spend it and dedicate that day to my family. That's usually when I'm going to get everything that I need to get done, right? Luckily, I'm a little bit OCD, so I always like to clean up at the end of my day, right? But I like to, maybe I'm gonna cook a special meal for my family. Maybe I'm gonna, run a little bit longer to reward myself in the form of exercise. Maybe I'm just gonna relax and read a good book. But Sunday is the day that literally, unless I'm forced to, unless it's something that's super duper important that I can't get out of, there's no way you're gonna be able to contact me. Sundays are for me. I love it. Sundays are my day for me to reconnect with myself, for me to reconnect with the Creator, and I hold those days super holy, right? It's gonna be super hard for you to get a hold of me that day, just because, again, I realize that me being like subject to what other people want, what the universe wants of me, what everybody, every wind pulling me in every kind of direction, I'm just going to be a leaf in the wind, and I'm not going to have no sense of direction. I'm not going to have no clarity. And by me being able to adhere to my schedule, adhere to my systems, it has given me so much more free time. It has given me so much access to my loved one. It has really empowered me to be more present whenever it is that I'm with friends or family, or whenever it is that I am going ahead and essentially working on myself or doing any kind of task. Um, so and then basically so a couple of takeaways that I want to be able to leave you with, right, is that listen, it's not easy. I'm not saying that it is easy, right? At the end of the day, this is something that we're constantly going to be working on, right? Being able to, for a lack of a better term, find balance, find a cadence that works for you is something that you're going to have to be working on pretty consistently, right? It's not going to happen overnight. But the great thing about it is that as long as you continue to work on it, you'll be able to find a system, a method that works for you. I don't have all the answers. I never want to pretend like I have it all, right? I don't want to pretend like, oh, well, that's it. It's easy for me. No, I go through my struggles as well, right? But luckily, I realized that this is where I am in my life, right? Take a deep breath. I realize that this is what is needed of me, which is right now is fatherhood, right? And if I can continue to have a healthy mind, body, and soul, you know, and obviously nothing tragic happens, I'm gonna have another day to continue working, right? The way that I look at it, it is progress over perfection. I want to be able to start small, protect one block of time at a time, right? Shut down whatever apps I don't need, focus on myself, and that's a win. The only thing that we can ask from ourselves, the only thing that we can ask from one another is to try to be the best version of we can that day. Try to, do everything that we can with excellence, carry yourself with class and dignity, and just understand, right, that another day that you're able to work on yourself, another day that you're able to help somebody, another day that you're able to bring value to somebody, you're doing great, right? Life tries to make it seem like it's much harder or it's much complicated than what we need to be. I guess it's one of the side effects of living in modern times, but I'm a firm believer that we are living in one of the greatest times to be alive. We have the internet. We're able to connect with people from all over the world. We're able to, get information literally instantaneously. And what we need to be able to do as a people is be able to refocus, realign our energies, right? Be able to disseminate what's actually important for us, understand that simplicity really is it's really much more beneficial, and just understand that probably 99.99% of the things that you're going through in your life may not matter. I know that we're all living in different lifestyles, we all live different parts of the world, we all come from different cultures, but if we look at it, all we're looking for is for us to be able to have loved ones, to have people that love us, some food, and some shelter. Everything else is a blessing, right? And obviously some health, right? We want to be healthy because none of that would matter if he wasn't healthy. So, again, I hope that you're able to, send us some comments, be able to, share with us your thoughts. Again, I'm always encouraging people to be able to join me. I want to learn from other people. I want to collaborate with other people as well. So please, if you haven't done so already, follow us on all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I would love to be able to have topics that people want me to go deeper into or questions that people have. The way that I look at it, I truly believe I was put on this earth to be a servant to other human beings and to be the best version of myself. So, with that being said, I hope that everybody has a wonderful day and take care. And just remember that having loved ones, having your health, having food, and having shelter already makes you the most richest person in the world. So, thank you, and I hope everybody has a great day.